Alright, welcome to the next little edition of my little show prep, whatever I'm doing. Alright, let's go over what has happened with the morning. So we got, actually let's just start right here. So Kid, he's the one that's styled off of Billy the Kid. Kid steadies himself atop the airstream, his paws gripping the railing as he brings his sniper scope to his eye. The faint metallic click of the scope's adjustment rings through the stillness. A sharp sound, enough to turn the heads of Bones and Junkyard below. Through the scope, the scene ahead sharpens into focus. A dozen humans patrol the checkpoint, their slug throwers resting at the ready. No energy weapons, no markings of allegiance to the Federation of Magic, the Coalition States, or any known factions. Their stances are purposeful, but not overly tense, as if this toll gate sees frequent travelers but rarely a fight. The floodlights cast hard shadows, carving the rugged features of the patrol into the jagged relief. One figure moves with more authority than the others, a stocky man in a patched flak jacket. His weapon, a pump-action shotgun with an extended magazine, rests casually against his shoulder. But his eyes scan the road for the sharpness of someone accustomed to trouble. He barks orders to another patrolman, gesturing towards the northern edge of the barrier, where gaps in the rusted train cars might allow foot traffic through. Kid marks them as the likely leader. Kid steadies the scope again, focusing on the armed patrol. He notes the weapons of a mix of low-end rifles, handguns, and shotguns, none equipped for long-range combat. The distance between the checkpoint and the position gives the Psyhounds an advantage in range, but the floodlights make a stealthy approach near impossible. He sweeps the area for hidden threats lingering on gaps in the barrier where smaller figures might slip through unnoticed. Shadows shift, but no immediate movements catches his eyes. Inside the airstream, Diablo Joe's voice hums again. Hostile layout suggests standard perimeter defense. Recommend reconnaissance or parley. From the looks of the train car and the shipping container barrier, it looks as if miles in both directions, south to north. Even if the scope Kid isn't able to make out the path through, the barrier doesn't prevent individuals, only vehicles. So, and Kid, he posts, whispers to the other guys, 12 combatants, low-tech gear. We definitely got them on range. Don't know if anyone else is hiding behind the rails, but that gentleman, he points, that looks like the Jefe. Should be easy enough to sneak through, but we're not taking the trucks, which doesn't seem advisable considering that we got what we got behind us, and we're shooting it and talking it out. All right. Don't know if that was Kid's voice or not. Maybe I'll bring the players on, and maybe they can check out theirs and interview them and ask them why. Hey, why are you playing Kid? What motivates you to play a? They want to check it out. Junkyard looks up at Kid. Easy enough to sneak through. How do you plan on sneaking with that many floodlights? Awesome. I hate to say it, but you start popping some of them off from here and they're just going to hold a fort and wait us out. Unfortunately, we're on a time limit and they're not. I vote we parlay. Kid points at several of the cracks in their defense. Like I said, we trained for this kind of stuff. Unfortunately, there's no way of getting the trucks through. As for popping people off, house, you take out the right ones off, jump, and then the rest of them start to break down in terms of what they're going to do. They tend to panic. I'm not saying that's the play, I'm just saying that's an option. Aston shrugs, clearly not buying it from one that isn't a sniper and isn't an affinity of this kind of thing. Whatever decision is made, he said with peace, and it will go along with the flow. Alright. Maybe reading their post isn't a good idea. Since I'm not getting the tone across, or possibly some of these characters, probably not going to do that. But anyways, you get the gist. They come up to this toll. There's shipping containers that span from the north to the south. There's no way through for vehicles. It's basically a barrier to prevent vehicles from going through. They don't really care much about people, but vehicles is where the money's at, where the salvage is, where the raids are. I mean, the average individual person going through the checkpoint isn't going to give these tollsters much to go for. We also have Shadow poking in. If we go off-road and there's no telling what we run into out there, leaving the truck behind isn't an option. We're trying to get Diablo Joe and the others to their destination. Parlay would be the quickest and possibly the safest route of action. Time is not our ally. He sinks back in the shadows, ready for what may come. And then Reacher, only one way through here with the truck. We have a loudspeaker. Reacher looks towards Diablo Joe. So now I'm up to the scene to where I get to create the next thing. Now I know what direction I want to go, but I use ChatGPT, as you can see over here, to help me out. So the most likely and easy thing to do is take my last post, I'm over here, plug it in, come over here, take Kid's post, and now because Kid writes out his as it is, sometimes you have to add who is talking so ChatGPT knows. So Kid then whispers, boom. Take out that whispers part there. I don't like that. So 12, combat's low gear, Hefe talks about that. Junkyard looks up, boom, now they want to parlay. I'm putting in Junkyard's return. Kid does his thing again, the two of them arguing, which probably won't add much substance to the scene, but we'll see. And when I say substance, I mean the outcome of what ChatGPT does. Of course, there's substance between two PCs arguing amongst each other because that's all fun and games. Alright, now Shadow doesn't really write what he is, and he sinks back into the shadows, but let's see. Okay, Shadow then says, alright, and then we got Reacher, and put that at the very bottom. Reacher then says, boom. Alright, so now that I got that, I have my scene in, I'm going to say what I want it to do. Now, it might take me a second to write this out, but I'll read it when I'm done. Alright. Okay, ChatGPT. I need to move the story along. The PCs are going to parlay with the toll operators. Kid has been able to make out their numbers and has relayed it to the rest of the group. When Reacher asks Diablo Joe about the loudspeaker, Diablo Joe will respond with conserving batteries. Since Diablo Joe is still connected to the battery, the backup battery in the Airstream, he doesn't want to kick on extra things that are going to cause it. He doesn't really care about the rest of the people. He only cares about his mission, getting to where he gets to go, gets to plug back in. That's pretty much all he wants to know. So, I mean, he was letting the Enforcer soak up radiation back in Fort Andrews. So, conserving batteries. Alright, so, and now, the good thing about this, show me 3 different paths this can take. Alright, and then enter. Alright, so I put that in there. It's starting to do its thing. Searching its knowledge. Alright, we got path 1, negotiated passage. So, the pack approaches, has NPCs saying state their business. So I gotta fix some of this stuff because some of this still considers Wraith being alive. Wraith hasn't double crossed him yet, so I do have to go into and fix this. So this one I probably won't use. This one has don't be fools, we're here to talk. Okay, use the loudspeaker. Hostile misstep. What do we got here? Despite the intent to parlay, the toll operators are skittish. Against presence on the Airstream rooftop. Okay, pull out your men, we'll negotiate. Outcome. Alright, so I think I'm going to wait on that one and let the PCs post a little bit more. Have Diablo Joe. Okay, Diablo Joe. Diablo Joe looks through the Airstream's window at the Psyhounds in the rear of Kaylee's truck. All right. Looking at Reacher, he says, actually, let's let him use the loudspeaker. That's a good choice. I mean, it's not really going to take much. It's a loudspeaker, it's speakers, vibrations. It's not going to use that much battery life. Plus, the battery life has 3.5 hours on it. It's not going to be a problem. So, yeah, Diablo, yes, loudspeaker can be used. Let's do this. After a moment, one of the sentries from inside the Airstream steps out and walks over to Reacher and the others, handing them a box from inside. It's assumed that they probably have some kind of Vox communication device that has something that will be able to do that, which is fine. I don't mind it being that way. Lets them quickly get this over with. The sentry then hands the Vox over to the group, telling them should have a good volume, should be good. I'd say you'll need to get about 100 yards. Yeah, about 100 yards before they will be able to hear. He adds. Now look, I can take this, I can cut this out over here, put it in this, and actually, let's go to a new window, new ChatGPT window. Now that I got that in there, rewrite this. Easy. Rewrite it. Simple. Okay. Instead of Diablo Joe looks, Diablo Joe peers through the window of the Airstream, his gaze settling on the Psyhounds in the back of Kaylee's truck. Turning to Reacher, he nods and says, "The loudspeaker will work." Moments later, one of the sentries inside the Airstream steps out, carrying a Vox box. Approaching the group, the sentry hands the device over to Reacher, explaining, "The volume should carry. You'll need to be within 100 yards for them to hear you clearly." Perfect. Since that sounds a whole lot better than what I wrote. And did it change things? I mean, it changed up some words. It's like a little editor, so worked perfect. Alright, so post, boom, make sure I get my formatting in there. I usually do actions with italics, bold for speech, so it stands out. Now, things people change, people do them so many different ways, so there we go. Alright, well, that's my post for today. Now I got the 4 of them, 5 of them waiting. Update about Maggie, Bones' player. They're going to be taking a little break for a little while, but once I get the PCs past this point and they get to Carlsbad Caverns, I'm probably going to have a re-recruitment where I'm going to probably add at least 2 people, possibly 3 to the game. I want to get a more influx of the characters. I want to start having things branch out a little bit more now that they're not under coalition leadership. The Psi-Hounds got to figure out what they're going to do. So that's it so far. What else we got? Did we want to show anything else? Not for now. All right. So that's pretty much how I do that. So